Hi, everyone. Welcome to Stogie Geeks Shorts. This is my top 10 list for 2015. On the lines via Scoop. We've got on the Scoop. Coop the Scoop.
There
On
we
the
go.
lines via Skype. I'm a little rusty at this. We haven't recorded a segment since like last Thursday. So,
Yeah,
how's it
right?
going, Will?
Hey, Paul, how's it going? Nice shirt.
Thank you. Yes, I'm adorning my Christmas attire today. So this is my other
I, I,
ugly
I
sweater.
didn't know we were watching Dr. Seuss.
It is very Dr. Seuss
It definitely has
like.
a Dr. Seuss. That's not a knock. Dr. Seuss is cool. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
So I'm very excited. I base my top 10 list. Obviously, it's only what I've smoked, which isn't everything that came on the
Right.
market this year. It's next to impossible, I think, for a team to smoke everything new that comes out on the market. So I want to put that out there. Also, it's in no particular order, so I don't rank 1 through 10 or whatever. I just kind of put the top 10 that I like to smoke this year that came out this year, and I very heavily rely on my ratings. So I go back to my ratings that I've had in the show, and that's pretty much the basis for my top 10 list. Yeah, I take a list of what's come out this year, I compare it against what I reviewed, I factor in the ratings, and then I massage the list a little bit and come up with my top 10 list. So, your top 10 list will be released in January.
Yep, we'll have that and we'll do another segment where we'll kind of go through that one. Very similar philosophy I've employed with mine. I think one theme that we've both done this year is the size matters theme. And I'm looking
Hmm.
at your list right now, and I went the same way this year. I think that was a big theme of how we assess cigars this year.
Hmm.
Really looking at the
The
sizes much
size.
more closely. So I think it's something I incorporated for the first time this year, which I hadn't done in the past.
And what's interesting is I look at my list, there's everything from Petite Corona to an A-size cigar on my list, which is
Yep,
which is kind of nice. It really rounds it out in size. It
yep.
rounds it out in price too. There are some hard to find cigars, but there's some regular production, very reasonably priced cigars. And I'll start with the reasonably priced, readily available cigar, and that's the AJ Fernandez New World Connecticut Corona Gorda. I mean, this is probably tied for the top spot of my favorite Connecticut cigar to come out this year. There's certainly been a lot of Connecticut cigars to come out this year. You can't go wrong with the AJ Fernandez New World Corona Gorda. I mean, it's just a fantastic cigar, very smokable, very versatile, smooth, creamy. It's got all those components. AJ hit it, knocked it out of the park with this blend.
Um, it's a U.S. Connecticut shade wrapper, which is what I like, and I think he's done one of the best U.S. Connecticut shade releases that I've seen in quite some time. And I think that's what really sets that cigar apart. I think you and I were both partial to the Corona Gorda.
Hmm.
I did like the Toro as well, but I think we both agree on the Corona Gorda. And when you look at these lists and you kind of go with perception with other people, a lot of people I've talked to when it comes to that cigar, it's the Corona Gorda.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I think that was a good pick there.
Next on my list is Davidoff Winston Churchill Robusto. And this is another one where I smoked every single size in the line and settled on the Robusto size as being my favorite. This one's a stronger offering from Davidoff. I can't really smoke these in the morning, Will.
No.
It's got too much of a kick to it. But this cigar is fantastic. You've heard me talk about it on the show. Really, really love the cigar. I bought a box of them. So
Great.
next, go ahead,
Yeah,
Will.
yeah, just great release by Davidoff. It became their number one line actually this year. Which,
Interesting.
if you think about what Winston Churchill was 12 months ago,
Yeah.
it was a brand that was really before they announced the relaunch. It was almost a dead brand with Davidoff. So they've done an incredible job of taking that. I want to say from up to the top.
I agree. Um, a lot of people, and I know you and Stogie Santa probably aren't going to agree with my next pick, but I smoked at least 2, maybe 3 of these since they came out, and it's the La Flor Dominicana La Nox. And I know the reviews have been mixed on this, but I tell you what, it was a top 10 cigar in my opinion. And it's something I went back to a couple times really to validate because the reviews were so mixed. And I had a fantastic experience each time I smoked one of these, Will.
Yeah, and I'm kind of reserving the jury. I probably will have a review out for this sometime before the end of the year. I'm going back and kind of giving it another fresh look at it on some clean palettes and just seeing what happened. But I agree. It was a very polarizing cigar this year. Either it was loved or hated. But I think we were hearing Stogie Santa or Todd from Havana. They were saying on our anniversary show, this was one of the best moving cigars this year.
Mm.
So you can't deny the impact that this has had on the market.
Yep. Great medium body, full flavored cigar.
It's a deceiving cigar because it's so dark. You think it's going to be a powerhouse,
It's not.
Like LaFleur's, and it's not.
Well, and next up on my list is a powerhouse cigar, which is another thing I like about my list. It ended up being so well balanced between strength profiles as well. There's everything from very mild to super strong, and this next one is in the super strong category, and that's the Romacraft Neanderthal HN. Did I get the size right? That's the perfecto-ish shape is the HN, right?
With the flat,
Yep,
yeah,
the
it's a regular
flat cap.
production, and
Yeah.
yes, you have the HN correct, yep.
Fantastic cigar. And I smoked this in a couple of different sizes as well, some smaller sizes, short Robusto and Petite Corona, but I prefer the HN. I really like that size. I think that taper and that size best represents the blend, which is a very, very strong blend, but full of flavor. And the strength doesn't overpower the experience of the cigar.
No, I mean, but you will feel this. Don't make no bones about it. You'll feel the strength on that cigar.
Eat a full meal before you smoke this bad boy.
Yeah, but I agree with you. And the other thing I've noticed with this cigar is it keeps that strength and flavor with age. So these cigars are not gonna. I've seen some powerhouse cigars really fizzle out in those areas. This one is not gonna do that.
Stay strong. Yeah.
Yep.
One that I think certainly everyone will agree with me here on the Stogie Geeks is the Debonair 33rd Maduro. This is the A-size Maduro. Just a fantastic cigar. I mean, to have a cigar that large smoke that well, Phil just did a fantastic job with it. And it's interesting how I love the Salomon from Phil, and I love this A-size cigar. And I smoke a lot of these larger cigars, and I don't know if it's the size or some of the blends I may not care for as much, but this one in this large size, it just really works. Awesome cigar.
Yeah, I will even go a step further. It is the best A cigar I've ever smoked.
Yeah, I think you could be right. I think I can't dispute that, Will. It really is.
Did you give it the Oasis rating?
I think I did. Yeah,
I give it an Oasis rating.
Yeah.
It is that good. A lot of these A cigars, when you get about 2/3 of the way down, they I don't want to say they just lose something. And this one, you can nub this cigar. I'm telling you.
Right.
I've smoked a few of these. I agree with this pick. This is a cigar. It was more limited, and I think if it was if it was a little more accessible, and I'm not knocking Phil because I know he wanted to keep this limited, but it would probably be very, very high on a lot of people's lists who've had this cigar.
I agree.
Yeah.
Next up is the Avo Classic Covers 2015, the Volume 1. I thought was, as far as nuance, flavors, and complexity, one of the cigars that caught my attention and held its spot in my top 10 list.
Yeah, this made an appearance on my list. It was already revealed as my number 18, so it was a top 20 cigar in my book. Volume 2 was very good. Volume 1 was just a little better.
And I thought the flavors shine more in Volume 1.
And it had a little more Avo-esque quality to it, but it had a boldness for an Avo that I haven't seen in quite a while. You go back to the 10 and the 11; those were bold. This one kind of brought a little bit of that boldness back with the Avo blend.
Next on my list is a Padron, and I think my selection of the Padron might surprise some people. And this is the 50th anniversary limited edition Natural, and I smoked the Maduro, the one that you sent me, Will, which had been resting for a while.
Right.
I like the Natural better. I like a little more of that spice. I like a little of that more in-your-face, bold flavors that came from this Natural cigar. It balances that off with some sweetness. The Maduro is very good, but I didn't find the flavors were popping out as much in the Maduro as it did in the Natural. The Maduro is a very, very smooth cigar and actually kind of dialed back in strength, which I was surprised.
Yep.
I thought it would be a much stronger cigar. It wasn't. I think you're going to enjoy either one of them. I prefer the Natural and earns a spot on my list.
No knock on the Natural. In my book, I would put it in the upper echelon of Padron Naturals that have been released. So it's a really good. That Natural's a really good cigar. I did prefer the Maduro, but like I said, if I would put this Natural, it's got to be in the upper 3 of all-time Padron Naturals, in my opinion. I did thought towards the end it kind of. I don't want to say it did lose a little steam towards the end, but not. It was still. I mean, it was still a Chuck Norris cigar in my book. So an excellent cigar.
Indian Motorcycle was a brand that came out this year, and there was two different wrappers to choose from and a whole bunch of different sizes. The thing that struck me about this cigar is the value, right? It's an affordable price, but it's a powerhouse of a cigar in terms of flavor, complexity, smokability, versatility. So I had the Indian Motorcycle Premium Tobacco Robusto in the natural wrapper was my favorite. I bought a box of these. I smoked a lot of the other sizes and wrappers, and this one is my favorite. It should come as no surprise to anyone, as I've talked about this on the show before. And it definitely earns a solid spot on my list, and primarily because there's just so much value in this cigar.
Made a top 25 appearance on my list. It was down to 22. I did smoke it later in the year, and so I had a little less time to smoke that cigar. Um, I agree with you. That cigar, you take the band off of it, it smokes like you would never know that's an under $10 cigar.
Yep.
And the aging potential is fantastic. It's a box. I agree, it's box worthy and going up with that. And I think I think you and I agree on the Robusto with this
Mm-hmm.
one. Yeah.
Avo Cinco Nicaragua Special Toro. And this is when we did a So Geek shorts on, and this one it kind of came out of nowhere. You wouldn't think there'd be a 60 ring cigar on my list, but this one just impressed me, dude. It's an impressive cigar in the 60 ring, so smokable, tons of flavor. You don't feel like you're smoking a 60 ring because of the box press. I love this cigar.
I remember when I called you or texted you actually that night when I smoked this cigar, and you probably thought I was crazy that night.
I did. I thought you were on drugs, actually.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm going because I thought the Avo Synchro line was a good line, but there was not that breakout cigar. And then along comes this 60 box press, and I got what they were trying to do with this cigar in terms of balance, the Dominican and the Nicaraguan flavor. It just seemed with this cigar it worked. And then again, when you look at we talked to people, we talked to Dave Garofalo.
Mm-hmm.
He
He's
came out.
big on the cigar, yeah.
Yeah, he was big on this size as well. I know this was up for one of his cigars of the year too. So,
Excellent.
yep.
The final one on my list, and again, no particular order, is that J. Grotto Silk Petite Corona. And this just came out when we did our anniversary show. And I've been smoking them pretty regularly, and they're just awesome. Awesome. There's not too many in that Petite Corona size in the Connecticut wrapper, so it's a nice change of pace, very versatile. I mean, it would just speak to the versatility because of the size. I find I can smoke these in the morning. I also find I can smoke these late at night too. And I know Stogie Santa is a big fan of a Connecticut like as your last cigar of the day when you don't want to take down something too strong. And this cigar just has great flavor, smooth, creamy, tons of flavor. Awesome, awesome job.
I smoked that cigar. You talk about end of the day when we did the anniversary
Yeah.
show. We're on the 9.5 hours. We probably were on our sixth or seventh cigar. That was my last cigar of the day, and I was amazed that what I was getting off that cigar.
Mm-hmm.
My palate was definitely shot, but it really was impressive, and it could be bell of the ball in that line. I was getting partial to the Lancero, but
Yep.
that Petit Corona is really good.
I have a couple of honorable mentions that stuck out in my mind. Most of them are mild cigars because I know I'm big on Connecticut cigars, and I kind of wanted to put together some other Connecticut's because there were so many that came out this year and ones I like to smoke. M. Bombay Casera Toro, that's the one with the shaggy foot that I love so much. Honorable mention there. Saga Blend Number 7 Double Perfecto, fantastic cigar in that mild to medium profile. This one didn't come out this year, but I bought 2 boxes this year, so I wanted to make sure that I mentioned it, and that's the EPC New Wave Reserva Toro. Fantastic cigar if you're looking for a good Connecticut cigar. Undercrown Shade just keeps getting better with age. I think that's going to be a solid Connecticut, and like I said, the aging potential on that one is off the charts. One that we don't mention too much that is almost like a Petite Corona or Corona size is that Leon Jimenez Prestige Corona. These are super, super mild. I would smoke these first thing in the morning and really at no other time, but a very solid offering in the Connecticut wrapper.
No, I agree. I agree on that. I like those 5 picks that you had on there as well. Saga is gonna. I have an honorable mentions that I'll be coming out with the same criteria.
Yeah.
So yeah, Saga made my honorable mention as well. The blend number 7 in that double perfecto.
Nice.
Real quick, I'll ask. I'll
Yes.
put you on the spot with one question here, because I was doing a cigar jukebox with Dave Burke, and we kind of did a question on what was our kind of miss of the year. So without kind of bash, was there a cigar that kind of came under expectations this year with you?
You know, and it's going to come as no surprise that the Padron Connecticut, and there's a couple things that go into that. One, I love Connecticut's, so I had high hopes for the cigar. Two, I love Padron, so I had high expectations for the cigar. And I keep smoking them, and they're still just not in my wheelhouse, which is disappointing for me.
Yeah, there was a consensus with on the not on when we did the end of the year thing with
Mm-hmm.
Dave on that cigar. Um, I kind of thought it just missed some expectation. I didn't think it was a bad cigar.
No.
Yeah, I had actually Tatuai Hide and the Davidoff Year of the Monkey kind of tie. They just
See, I
both
don't think I
missed.
smoked my Year of the Monkey. There are some that I haven't smoked.
There's mixed. There's some mixed. There's some. A lot of people liked it. So
Yeah.
is Dave Burke said it's not you, it's me. It could be. So
Right,
that sometimes
right.
happens. Yeah.
Well, cool. So that's my list for 2015. Make sure you check out the Stogie Geek Show every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and make sure you check out the Stogie Geek Shorts, where Will's going to go through his top 10 list sometime in early January. Thanks, everyone, for watching.